a very good morning to each and every one of you. So this panel session is going to be very interesting because one of our panelists is got called away for an award in Malaysia. So he flew over. And hi, Roger.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Roger.
It's great to see you online. So
yes, great to see all of you.
And this is the first time we will be having this conversation this way, yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I need the sound volume to be increased because on our side I can't quite hear Roger.
Sorry, thank you so much.
It's a joy. So with that, thank you audience for being with us. Now we will be starting our second panel for the day, and the title is Creating Your Brand to Stand Out. What is your signature? Because I think we all know that we all have different signatures. Some are very small and they're comfortable. Some are bold, right? But whatever your signature is, tune in to discover yours. So with that, I want to introduce each of my panelists. Let's start with Roger. Roger is the president of the digital, the Chamber of Commerce, right? The Digital Chamber of Commerce in Singapore, Roger.
Yes, correct. Yes.
And you have like years of PR experience for different companies. So that's what we will tap into soon, okay?
Correct. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Roger. And then we have the very lovely Pauline Teo. So a very familiar face. Pauline is the executive director of V8 Holdings.
8V.
8V Holdings.
Yes.
And 8V Holdings typically does investing, value investing for not just women, but I think for people at large. Yeah. And Pauline will be sharing a lot more how from an employee, she began to brand herself even like 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, right? So I think that mindset is what we want to tap into to understand, okay? And then we have the very beautiful Cindy TIEN. Cindy is a senior consultant with Imageworks. And Imageworks doesn't just do work on the outside, but it also helps us explore our inside. Am I right? So with that, right, I want to bring us into our conversation because branding is so critical, but yet many of us don't understand that. Yeah. So Roger, let's start with you. Having worked in a PR agency where branding is your core service, can you share with our audience why it is so critical is the word?
Okay, thanks, Junior. So maybe I just share a very simple logic for today. Today, per aspect example, let's say you buy a product. Let's say you buy a household product. You can buy from a TIEN Mall, you can buy from a online store. So for the merchant, imagine number one, for the merchant itself, if what you're doing is like competing on price, then that doesn't make sense. But a branding stands you out. A branding represents your character, the product character. It represents the quality. So when people associate branding with trust, credibility, that's where there'll be repeat buying and people come back to you. So that's one very important aspect of it. So that's why I find branding is very important. So like example, even Apple Watch or Apple phone, why you pay a premium for Apple? Because we associate with the value or even lifestyle of it. Why do you buy a Xiaomi or example? It's not saying it's no good. So I think that's very important of branding. Branding also represent your characters in terms of personality or even your company business. So branding, in a way, it makes you target very clearly well customers, also your audience itself. Okay, so that's in general, Junior. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you, Roger. Because what you identify, right, is what I'm getting is literally branding is like my identity. So like Junior has a name, right? But branding for any business is literally like their identity, their branding, what they stand for. Yeah. So for you, Pauline, what does brand mean for you?
I totally agree what Roger has said. Really is about what we stand for. But one key thing that probably a lot of people may have missed out is branding is actually about the soul. Yeah, I will use this word. It's the SOUL, the soul of, like, for example, the soul of the company, the soul of the individual. So that's why the association comes in, which is the reason why if we talk about branding, we have to be very congruent. Yeah, what we say, what we mean, what we do really can be associated. Yeah, so that's the key thing. It just comes out like that. So it's just that soul, yeah, of someone or an organization.
I love what you share because yours goes so deep, where it's really not just about the outside superficial appearance, but it is an inside out projection of who I am. And if I haven't taken the inward journey, my branding at large, at best, would only be superficial or maybe a mold of what I have learned or copied. And yet it's so different when there's an inside out experience.
Yes.
And I'm sure you'll be sharing more, right?
Yep, later on.
Wonderful. Thank you, Pauline. And Cindy, right? Imageworks used to focus on the external appearance, and yet they have evolved, right, to also include the inner self.
Yes.
Is there something you want to share?
Yes, absolutely. And inward qualities is something that, we all treasure, right? And that really serves as the foundation of how we build our personal brand. Because if you don't know what are your inward qualities, then what is there to communicate? We don't want to have like a cookie cutter look or just, go very general with how people perceive you. So it's really going deeper, like what Roger has mentioned, the soul, like what Pauline has mentioned. So the thing we want to be very aware of is, when especially when you're new in the business and in a company, people don't know your inward qualities unless you communicate about it, unless people know you really well. So branding is really intentionally and strategically communicating your inward qualities a little bit more on the surface.
Wonderful.
So that's what we do.
Wonderful. And with that, right, I want to bring the conversation to personal branding, right? Well, who am I? What do I stand for? So, Roger, given your work, you used to be in SPH. So that includes print, online, air, new media advertising. How is that now relevant for an individual today?
Okay. If the individual itself, maybe we can put a part into every year we see award branding. Example for personality, or we see some even for insurance company with a MDRT. So I think in terms of such branding itself, today, why people want to buy a product from a person who win awards, let's say in a Singapore Trust Award or Singapore ASME Award, because the whole branding be associated. People say, okay, so I'm sure that because this guy has won award in the media, and media is the one that accredited on that basis itself. So that the whole trust and credibility is built up. So the whole media itself is reinforced and give people the confidence level itself. So in personal branding, I can give you a real life example. A real life example of personal branding is, let's say, in the past, I think for ladies who love spa, if you remember in the early 2000s, there's a spa who called Rustic Nirvana, all right? Rustic Nirvana. Okay, when Rustic Nirvana started in Cantonment Road itself, okay, I think in the beginning, not many people know. They try very hard on reaching out to old customers. When the founder now so the head for the Singapore, I think the association for the whole spa industry itself. So the thing is that by then itself, people doesn't really associate it. But when the whole media endorsed on Evac itself, endorsed on Evac treatment as good, as a healthy, because Evac was really naturalistic, okay? So in this way, then after that, I share with you, after the endorsement from China News Asia on the Evac's Rustic Nirvana Spa, the next 6 months, the spa is packed because credibility is there. So it's important because the media itself give a third-party endorsement from a very objective angle itself, and people trust that aspect. So personal branding with media itself, it works very well if you know how to use it properly. Okay, that will be from my perspective. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Roger, because what I'm getting is really the perception. And that is so critical because often I may be selling the best burger, but if nobody knows, guess who they go to? McDonald's, right? So, and the quality, even though my quality, real meat, not processed, but so what, right? So, with you, Pauline, yours is a very interesting story that I want to bring up, right? You created a niche for yourself in V8 from the start. 8V. I keep going in 8V, right?
Yes.
From the start,
Yes.
right? And can you share why pink is your signature color? Or when you talk about soulful branding, how did you get in touch with your soul?
Okay, so maybe it has to go back 11 years ago, and probably a lot of people didn't know. I mean, I think quite a number of you have seen me like in YouTube, Facebook, and I've been in cafes, people say, you're Pauline, I saw you in YouTube, So Well, people would know me in terms of investing, but a lot of people didn't know was I was actually a civil servant for 10 years and I know nothing about branding actually. So after I learned about investing, the first thing is I want to join the company and I want to, my first aim at the point of time after joining the company was to encourage more women to take charge of their financial health. Because when I attended the program, it was like, oh, only 20-30%, but you know, most of my friends are like me, graduates, and we earn our own keep, you know, but why is it that women are not investing? So that was where I want to communicate something. You see, that's where branding comes in. I must make sure that there is someone, why is it women are not investing is because every time I saw all this CNBC, CNN or whatever, they are all men. Sad to say they are all men, like, you know, in the financial sector, right? And it's so boring and it's so like all logical. I mean, women are not, sorry, we are very drama, emotional. We love colors. That's why you can see today we are so colorful, right? Yeah, and we love pretty things. So that was where I said, how can I encourage women to really do it? I have to brand myself. Yeah. So I started with the color pink, like you mentioned, right? Because I know the men will not wear pink. So when I wear pink, I stand out. And then women will say, wow, and pink, if we in image, we know it's a friendly color. Yeah, so investing is not so intimidating. Yeah, and we can be friendly. Well, everyone knows money is important, but why is it we're not learning about money? So that was where I realized, and I'm a mother also. That's where I also come up with this multi-millionaire mom to let women know that, oh, yeah, women, you know, a mother and an investor in pink in color. So all the association comes along. So it has to be congruent.
I so love the word you use, congruent. And you know, I'm just picturing a sea of men in black color or gray color suits, and then one boldly come out in pink. And proud to be me because this is who I am. I don't need to be another man or to fit into the man's world, but I'm a woman. And proud of it, you know. And woman, it's time that we begin to invest because money is important. So let's multiply it such that our money works harder for ourselves, right? And boldly in pink. And I think it's also, how do I say, an inside out expression of who you are. So I think for someone else who may not want the light so much, they may have chosen a more subtle color, maybe white, you know, and it really doesn't matter. But what we are trying to put forth today is begin to discover what even the colors, right? Like even on our first weekend, Veronica was talking about the different colors. You know the color pink in our Mum Space logo? Pink is actually the color of giving. Actually, the different colors symbolizes different things. It's a very nurturing color, actually, the color of pink, because it's a blend of red and white. Yeah, so, but then the pink color also means that we also need to practice self-love because sometimes we may overgive, you know, so there are two sides. So wonderful. Thank you, Pauline. And Cindy, how do we go on an inward journey? Because for many people, especially in Singapore, we've been taught after education, you know, 20 years of education, come out and work already. The inward journey of self-discovery is a luxury that not many of us have time to embark on. Any shortcut, expressway tip on how we can discover who I am? Who am I uniquely from the inside?
The answer is yes and no. No meaning that you can't get it in one day.
Of course.
Yes meaning there is a process to it, and if you work with a coach, of course that person will be able to help you a little bit more. But typically when we coach or we do our trainings, we would. So the thing is this, you know, when you just ask a random person like what you stand for, a lot of people have not really made time to think about it. And it's really the ability to define who you are and your identity, right? So what I've noticed is that giving people a list of words for a start helps with that. So at Imageworks, we call that brand attributes. So we give them a list of brand attributes and then we say, if you need to communicate about your brand, what would be the 3 to 5 words that you would choose from this list? And the reason why we give them those words is because we don't want them to just think of words like friendly and professional, because it doesn't say very much. When you tell people you're friendly and professional, right, we are more than that. So one little tip I usually give my clients is to think about someone that inspires you. So for example, if we think about, okay, women empowerment, okay, think about someone like Michelle Obama. She represents passion, fun, empowerment. If she inspires you, and we typically like people like ourselves, so maybe you want to start developing that bit of you, the empowerment part. Or you could think of somebody like our late Mr. LKY. His brand attributes would be courage, commitment, visionary. So thinking about how your brand attributes is helping you contribute to the world. So go deeper into your core values. It's a self-awareness journey, and it absolutely takes time. It's not a one-day process, but it's something that you will want to spend time doing it. The other thing I would always say is, after you've sort of identified those 3 to 5 words, go to somebody you trust and respect and ask them, do you agree that these words represent me? If they say, yes, 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 this is you, then you kind of know that you've nailed it. If they say, no leh, then you kind of know that, oh, maybe I'm lying to myself or I'm delusional or something like that. So get a bit of feedback from someone you trust. And then after that, you could work with a personal brand coach to then help you to clarify those brand attributes and then communicate those brand attributes on the different channels of your marketing and communications. So this is the process I would actually take them through.
I love this brand attribute exercise because I think you have like effectively just shortened the entire process. And I think very often we do not do the exercise, and our vocabulary tends to be limited by what we know, right? But I love the back testing and just checking with someone. Pauline, would you say that Junior is fun? And you know, and just asking and go. And yes, because feedback, because what I think in my own head is within my own head.
Absolutely.
And I think the other thing about checking in with someone is then she said, no, I think controversial suits you better, because the feedback that we get, because our friends sometimes see our blind spots that we don't see ourselves, and their feedback, right, would really be holistic as we create a brand that is really unique.
So that's the reason why I mentioned about soul, right? Why a lot of people can't do this so-called personal branding well. In fact, I think personal branding is not just for entrepreneurs. It's actually for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in fact, let's say even if I'm an employee, I have to got a personal branding so that my boss know what I stand for. Like, for example, trustworthy, responsible, professional, things like that, right? But many times what happens to individual, why is it that they can't do the branding, is because they have it, we probably have this issue that we want to be what our mother wants us to be, our father wants us to be. So at the end of the day, it becomes very confusing because I'm doing my best to be what my boss, what the society, or whoever wants me to be. At the end of the day, the branding will not work because the soul is not there. It's not congruent at all.
I so love what you're sharing, because when we talk about the soul, right, it's like at best, if I were to, let's say my gifting, like what Einstein says, right, the fish will forever seem stupid as it looks at the monkey and like, why can't I climb the tree, right? Until the fish owns completely who I am, right? And who I am is, I am in the water, the king, right? And I'm not meant to be on the tree and I can't even breathe, you know, like struggling and thinking I'm a failure. But as we begin to dare to say, you know, I'm going to put aside society's expectation, my parents' demands, or even what my spouses sometimes, or even what my children, and just take this time for me to look at what makes me happy. I think one of the easiest way that I found is what's your inner compass of joy? Because, and many mothers have lost track of that, you know, in conversations that I have. Roger, I don't know for you, okay? But for a lot of moms, we ask, what's your hobby? What makes you happy? Don't know. Everything about the children so much that I've forgotten who I am. Yes, and it starts, and my projection can only come out as I anchor, you know, like a tree, the deeper the roots are, as I anchor on who I am. And then to stand strong. And regardless of what people say I need to be or to do, no, woman can be rich and have it all.
Absolutely.
Right? That is, instead of then people will come and say, because the society will always tell you things, Pauline, don't be greedy. Pauline, are you sure not? Have your cake and eat it too. But I think the more rooted we are, we're like, of course, and look at me, here I come. Let me be the example to show people that you can have wonderful relationships at home, you can have money, you can have it all. And I think that is what the world really is looking for. Examples, testimonials, like living testimonials of individuals who dare to shine for the beings that we are. Not be a mole of someone else, right?
Precisely. That's why I always tell my children. I mean, a lot of you won't believe me, but my eldest daughter is already 21 years old. Next year,
Unbelievable.
yeah, my younger one is 18. Okay, so that's why I'm always saying be a brand, and of course I keep myself a lot, right? Yeah, in terms of all aspects. Yeah, even though I run a 2 listed company, okay, and right now because AV is also a listed company, and we brought it to listing, I'm very busy. I still have to take care of myself, and whatever that I tell people about investing. because a lot of people say, well, you know what, you're single, you have a lot of time. I'm a busy mother. I need to take care of a lot of things. I tell people, I also, right? I need to work, me too. I need to do housework, me too. I don't have a helper until recently because my father-in-law was sick, right? I grew up, my two kids grew up without a helper. I do housework, me too. So, and then I've got no time. But then you have 24 hours, I have 24 hours. How come I can do it, right? It's all about an intention of really putting it into place. And that's really important.
That's an amazing point, because again, ladies being ladies, because we are busy, we are mothers, we've got 1,001 things to handle, you just forget yourselves. And sometimes when we coach our clients, right, we notice that their brand is showing up sloppy because they are struggling inside. Yeah. So when we brand ourselves, it's also a signal that, hey, I've got a new journey, I'm in a new season, and I'm ready to take charge of my life. It's not just this superficial thing, right? It's a lot more than that. And I always tell people, when you own your authentic brand and you step into it, confidence rises, because you give yourself the permission to be your best self, to be your true self. And when you show up confident and powerful, a lot of people connect more to you. They're more attracted to you. Yes. And then it's a little bit like the law of attraction, whether we believe it or not. It really, really kind of comes around when people can see that you own your brand.
I'm just smiling because there's this saying, fake it until you mean it, right? Yeah. Like there are days where I'm down, right? And I don't feel like smiling. But in just wearing a smile or just putting on lipstick or in wearing something, or just looking up and smiling, it shifts our entire countenance such that the inside experience is also transformed, just in small shifts like that. So I love what you talk about, having something bigger for us to be pulled by, inspired. So we don't just live for, but today I don't feel, it's no more about me, little me, but it's really a bigger brand that pulls me in my lowest days forward towards my commitment of who I want to be. So I think a very powerful reminder.
A lot more purpose driven. It's not just about me, but then, people are looking to me for advice, for messages, and I want to be able to share with them what I stand for so that you can do the same.
And with that, right, Roger, I want to include you in the conversation because we have to talk about vision and purpose. Because very often, I think from a company's point of view, the vision and the purpose is what pulls the company. Yeah. So I want to hear from your perspective. What does branding entail in a company? How do we create? So let's say for an entrepreneur or a company who is undergoing rebranding, what are some points they can consider in writing that statement, or is it even outdated? Because some people say writing your vision and purpose statement outdated already. Now it's to write how you solve problem. What is your value statement? Yeah.
Okay, I think Julia, definitely, I think you're right. It's important. I think the whole inside out expression of a company is just like human, just talking about the mother, as a person itself. Yes. So it's not as complicated. Just some people think business is very complicated. But so when you're trying to know what is your business identity, which we call branding itself, and the first step, definitely, you must put your stand very well is what is your vision and mission itself. So that represents a character. So in this aspect, as an example, like our Singapore Digital Chamber of Commerce, our mission is connecting enterprise with policymaker and community to harvest a digital economy in Asia. So this is a very clear stand itself, because just like in the whole activity itself, the mission, vision, and also the other part is what is your belief in it. So our belief is we're championing 4 verticals: the AI, blockchain, cybersecurity, and digital transformation. So we connect all the businesses in this 4 areas together, as we connect them together with policymaker and expand out to the other Asia economy with the, like, I'm not Malaysia Digital Chamber of Commerce. This is what as commerce we do. So same thing like business. When you want to do a business, what is the mission that you believe in it? And I'll give a quick one more example. Is maybe for the ladies, the other one will be like there's a female entrepreneur worldwide. I think that's very relevant also. So same thing. Apart from the mission and vision itself, they are very clear. They are a platform for women to connect in the digital space itself. The color. Now we're talking about the consistency itself. The color you mentioned about pink. Yeah, you're right. Pink give energy. Pink tell people that what we are doing. So for my Singapore Digital Chamber of Commerce, what I'm wearing, yellow and blue. Example, blue is our color too. So same thing is very important on this perspective itself. So number one, as you write your mission statement, it's not for people to think who you are. But it must be something that you believe who you are. And how you going to stand out? Let's say who are you addressed to audience? We in my chamber, we don't really like to wear black. I'm sorry. Other chamber is very formal, It's we say we are more the new generation chamber. The older one, you always see black shirt or whatever. Ours blue, a bit more vibrant color, So it's because we are in digital. We are addressing to the Millennial and Z. Definitely, I think definitely both my panelists, they're so expert in that area. So I love the addressing. Wow, very nice green with white. Cindy herself, that Pauline is so beautiful. So definitely junior year. So it's important that the whole perspective itself. Okay, I hope I say enough because I don't take too much time. If not,
We love your colors too.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Minion actually.
Right?
Yeah.
Straight away we remember Minion.
Yeah.
They're very cute.
And associate,
Okay.
yes.
And I love, right, how you do that, Roger, because really, right, when I first thought digital chamber of commerce, chamber of commerce, just the term itself, we think it's a bit old, right? Yeah. But in you just choosing to add a twist in the blue, it's not the kind of dull blue, but the brighter shade of blue that you've chosen. I think it shows that I'm more modern on the cutting edge, the kind of technology instead of a bit not so relevant. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. So Cindy, when we talk about, aspects of brand creation, for you, right, how do we, Pauline, how do we identify a problem to solve?
Sorry again?
Okay, so now we are talking about brand creation. Yes. How do we create a brand? So for an entrepreneur mom who's coming out, how do they identify a problem to solve?
A problem to solve. So I think first of all is, just like I mentioned, need to know what we stand for. Be it whether we are talking about we ourselves as a mother, as a mompreneur, as an influencer. Now so many influencers out there. I think everybody's fighting for space, right? Like for example, during the circuit breaker, I think that is a very good example that we have seen many of the women, mothers started to become bakers. Yeah, all of a sudden everyone bakes, right? And everyone sell their cakes, right? So we need to create a brand. So this is where the problem to solve. How do you solve a problem now? Will everyone eat cakes every day? Well, I love cakes, yes, but not every day. So, and then if there are so many bakers out there that everybody is doing home baking, let's say you want to start a business and you want to have that brand. So the next question is, what is the thing that people would want, and what are you solving? For example, women will always have one thing. We love sweets, we love to eat cake, but we do not want
to put on weight.
Yes, to put on weight. So why not go that track? Because we have this issue that we want to eat yet not put on weight. So come up with something that people can eat or women can eat and order more without putting on weight. So we are solving a problem.
Wonderful. We are providing an option that is not there in the market. From what I hear.
Yeah. So there are different types. Like nowadays, I've seen low carbs, low sugar, keto, whatever. Yeah, but at least there is something that stands out. I mean, it need not be a case of this. It could be some other cases of, you know what? I will put up a cake, but this cake is not going to be cream. It's going to be something else. Like nowadays, there's a lot of like jelly cakes. Yeah. And our mother will say, okay, instead of having cakes that's really unhealthy for my children, I'm going to put in, like, for example, the fruits with the jelly cake, and that's health. So what are we going to solve? So there are a lot of things that when it comes to problem solving, and we are thinking of what to do. This is where we could go into for it. That's why the time during the investing, I'm solving a problem. And how do I find it? Is because I'm passionate about getting women to start to invest, because I realize a problem. Women are not investing, yet we are savers. Most of us, frankly speaking, although we like shopping, but we are still savers, right? Yeah, especially mothers.
And I think that's because the society message tells us save.
Yeah.
And then it's so deeply ingrained, we save. Yeah. But that is only one method of multiplication. Then it becomes very defensive.
Yeah.
We're no longer aggressively accumulating or investing, multiplying.
When it comes to putting money in the bank, a lot of us,
we're losing money.
Yeah, we are losing money. It's not that we want to defend. We can't even defend. So we are
leaking already.
Correct, we are leaking. So I want to tell people that we have to do it, because if you don't do follow it, you're just wasting all your effort about saving. Yeah, and it takes so long, so hard for us to like save that. Now it's not 5 cents, 10 cents, like our grandma's time, but like the 100, 200, that kind of thing. So we have to know how to at least beat inflation, know the importance of financial management. So that's the message every time I want to put across.
Wonderful.
So powerful.
And you shared something very important. You know, I do a lot of research, right?
Yeah.
So they say the 3 problems, if we want to solve the most, would really be health. If you have a business with health, which is what you brought up, wealth, because a lot of people are looking for money, or relationship. So actually another sector to enter is a lot of relationship. So that's where Mom Space is in, right? Where we talk about parent-child relationship, where we talk about your health, where we talk about your wealth, right? These are the 3 that people will pay money for. Because you may be solving a problem, but not painful enough for people to want to pay you.
That's also the tagline that I always put up. Yeah, abundance, wealth, good health, and happy relationship.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this is what we actually stand for. And in V, we have this program called Infinite Wealth, where we talk not just about money in itself, because money is a tool. But everyone knows money is a tool. I mean, at the end of the day, we are not accumulating like $1 million and see that $1 million. I think apart from very few people, maybe Warren Buffett would love to see $1 million. I mean, we are not here to see a $1 million note and then feel happy about it, right? But what we want is using money and wealth as a tool to make sure that we have happy relationship, that we can, let's say, go for holidays, that we don't need to worry if touch wood, if our family, you know, something happens, and then we can also maybe take care of our health. You know, ultimately,
Absolutely.
this is the thing about life.
And that was the
Means to
woman
the
of
end.
that was the Woman of Wealth series we
Yes,
did,
the
right?
Women of Wealth series is part of our branding as well. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And Cindy, so I have a difficult question for you, right? How do I create my brand to stand out? So for example, this one do gluten-free, this one do, you know, and then how do I still stand out?
Okay, you know, this is a difficult question, but it's really not that difficult. I think the first thing is to ask yourself, are you searchable by your target market or not, you know? So I think online presence, I'm not going to go too much into that because I believe the earlier panel talked about it. Just kind of be aware that you need to be around to be seen, because you know, if your presence is not found, then we are non-existent. Don't talk about brand creation. So make sure you are found. The other thing I always talked about is at Imageworks, we have a model called the 3 A's of brand development, and that's appearance, actions, and attitude. So appearance-wise, I think being very clear about what are the elements of design that you're going to use in your brand, because people are attracted to the appearance of a product, like it or not. We are all visual creatures. That's why Instagram and all that is like boom town. So that means asking questions like, you know, what kind of a look and feel will my clients connect with? My target market connect with. Yeah, so one example I could share is this. So this lady, we had an American client. So she flew all the way to Singapore because she wanted to get some help with branding her a little bit more. She is an executive C-suite coach. And she sent us her marketing materials way beforehand for us to review. And when she finally turned up at our office, we got a shock of our lives, because she showed up in person totally different from how we viewed her in the marketing materials. In her marketing materials, she came across as a little bit like a retiree, principal, nurturing type person. But she was totally not like that. She came into the office and she's dynamic and she's singing and she's this loud boomster voice, you know. So we thought, oh wow, this is a situation of a lack of visual integrity.
A mismatch.
You're showing up this, but you know, your clients, their clients not getting you. They are not getting you. So we sort of had to rebrand her, gave her a little bit more fun in her look and feel, not just the appearance, but different elements of her marketing communication materials as well. And when we did that revamp, the business started to change because she was trying to pitch to C-level corporate executives in Singapore. So she needed to show up a little bit more cutting edge and not so much of the granny type
of principle.
Yes. So I think being aware of that, you know, using elements of design such as colors, prints, fabric, styles, accessories to communicate the look and feel. So that's the appearance part. The second A is really about actions. You know, you talked about relationships. A lot of people might think that some of these things are tiny, but little things do make a huge difference. So every time you meet somebody, whether is it over in person, on an email, on a Zoom call like that, on WhatsApp, always ask yourself, what is the brand experience that I'm giving to this person? Yeah, so people generally like people that are responsive, considerate, making an effort to express yourself clearly, and then you become a likable brand that connects with people. And then the last one is really thinking about your attitude. And for us, we actually go deeper into the EQ part. So being very aware of how your emotions is affecting your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and how is that showing up when you are communicating with people, when you're stressed out. What kind of behavior do you show up? So the appearance, actions, and attitude, and please be searchable. Let your clients be able to find you.
There's so much wisdom in what you're sharing. I'm just thinking, the term I have is moments of truth, right? Where when I first connect with your brand experience, whether it's a phone call, whether it's I see a flyer, what is the experience, the emotion that it draws out of me? Am I excited to come, or do I just can skip, can avoid? And all this, right, are so critical that again for me a reminder of just the answer of just the eyes that are watching and listening all the time, because our brand is often our reputation that precedes us.
Absolutely.
And our brand, I mean, this is something very true, right? It's not what we say, the true test of a brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. Yes, when you leave the room. So you can say, I'm what. Then when you leave the room, right? What do people really say? When you're no more there, behind your back, what do you leave people with? And that's why I think like what you're saying, the relationship or the EQ part is so important.
So important.
Because I can just say anything I want to say and it doesn't matter. Or I may not have said the right thing. But I leave people with the experience of my authenticity, of my genuineness. And even if my brand is not beautifully made out there, but people connect with, wow, this one really got the heart. There is so much more patience that people will then accord, or people will say, it's okay. I am in this with you even if your brand is not like fanciful out there, because there's something deeper about you. So Pauline, I love what you're sharing about the soul. I think the more connected we are with our soul, the more people connect with that. And even if on the outside, not very nice in that sense, because it's all a journey, right? People tend to be saying, it's okay. I want to be alongside you. I can connect with you because of the authenticity.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. And okay, so now moving on. Roger, we know you are here. Moving on to stages of branding, okay? For you. What questions can one answer as I'm starting out? So, in the entire brand creation process, right? If let's say I'm an entrepreneur, because this is today the rise of the VUCA world. I mean, we cover the rise of the gig economy. The encouragement is for people to put yourself out there. So what questions would you advise, an individual, a viewer watching now, to ask themselves to consider in putting in their brand?
Okay. I think this part, maybe I just bring into two portions itself. One is for people who are starting up with a new brand. One is maybe people taking over certain old business and trying to start a brand, so in a short way. So if you start, I think both itself come to frame who is your target market itself. So means who we are trying to speak to. If you are trying to talk to a millennial, let's say the millennial or even the Generation Z itself, today imagine I don't know, you're still using the medicated oil X brand itself. So I also happen to have an interesting talk with some young people about a few months ago when I was using that X brand. People thought, wow, it looks ugly. No. So first of all, in thinking today itself, if you appeal to all this Generation Z itself, I think it's important what is going to appeal to them. So the whole the look and feel. People like to talk about look and feel today. So that's one. What's color? So that's why recently I encountered a company in China and US called Beyond. A very unique branding company. Wow, very bold color, but this is something that not many people use. So number one is very important. The first advice was target market itself. So I'm trying to talk about the other part is that your old brand try to reinvent. But this is something I did for Toys R Us back in 1999. Okay, so but what I've advised them from 1999 until 2021, they're still using what I advised them, which is I feel not happy and not happy. Happy because they're still using what I advised them. Not happy, I think, to be honest, it should be obsolete anyway. So I still remember when I pitched to them 999, Toys R Us are appealing to young children. I still remember the tagline, I think for three of you are too young. I'm a much older man, so okay. So you may not know. It used to have this tagline on TV called "Every day is Sunday for Toys R Us Kid in Singapore." But interesting, I spoke to the GM then. He can't remember that's the tagline they have. But I say when I go see a Toys R Us in the 999, it's just like a warehouse. All the toys, dumb one things. I say, hey, I'm also in my early 20s. I say, I imagine my kids are going inside there. Oh, wow, it's so boring. No, I wouldn't want to go to a store. I want to rather go Metro and so on. So hey, you must create an experience. That's 999. So I propose to them to create this called shop in shop concept. I say you must like children want to go to a maze, go inside it. Hey, I see Barbie Land. I see Hot Wheel Land and so on. So people want to see that, which they did a trial concept shop in a forum then, and it rolled off well until the whole Asia itself, because that's under Lee and Fong Group itself. Yeah, so I just happened to be in Malaysia yesterday. Then I say happened in Pavilion. Then I talked to one Toys R Us. She was always same concept, happy and not happy. Okay, so it should change. Even today, it should change anymore. So I think the very important thing is what is relevant today to your target market concept. Always think about who are your target market, who are you speak to. I think that's the first advice I'll give them. Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing, right, Roger, that really it's about reinventing yourself. Because like what started 10 years ago for Toys R Us, that, I mean, you helped them to revamp, you know, from a warehouse to an experience is what I hear, may not serve today, right? And I think branding is really a day, literally after we create, it's not just leaving it there for the next 20 years without reinventing. But I think in today's volatile world, where things swing and change so quickly, it's about staying relevant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you, Roger. And Pauline, so if I were to ask you, right, what if, example, I first create my brand, and then things don't seem to, you know, there's a bit of a disconnect. How do I then begin to look at what I can do to stay relevant?
Yes, in branding, I must say, other than after we search for the soul and want to know who we really are and what we stand for, it is a journey. Yeah, like what Sim said, it's actually a journey. We have to do a little bit of a trial and error. Yeah, like we have to get feedback. And feedback is really important. Feedback is not about, I think I'm like that, and I want to convince people I'm really, really like that. Sorry. It does not work that way, right? Yeah.
Use loud hailer. I am fun. And then you don't know, but okay, it doesn't work this way.
So
okay.
this is what a lot of people would love, like branding. No, it doesn't work that way, right? So we have to constantly check with our target audience, check with our market. I think catching the message. Yeah. If they are not getting, why not? Yeah. If I want to portray, even if I really want to be, let's say, I want to be a fun person, I want to make sure that ultimately people will view me as a fun person, let's say, but I'm really not fun. Okay, fake it, fake until we make it. Really. And that is why you see we have to reach that goal, and we need to know how to change the different variables. Yeah, there's always things like, for example, we can work on different parts. Let's say we want to be fun, right? Then color scheme. Right, so go and research about color scheme. This is one of the easiest to probably to start with. Instead of maybe wearing black, and black we know is not fun, right? So what do we wear? Like today, as you can see, we are like Christmas. Christmas is fun. So wear Christmas color, and people say, wow, you look like a Christmas tree. Get it, right? Fun, yeah. Nobody will think of Christmas as not fun. So Christmas. So this is where we have to do a lot of probably trial and error, and then from there, maybe color is one, and our daily activities is another one. How we write, how we communicate is the other one, and maybe if we have a website, you know, our landing page, how does our website look? Does our website look stern and not fun at all? So we have to change everything to make sure that it is fun. And the language that I use, do I portray fun? My body language, do I tell people I'm fun? So ultimately, once we work on the outer, sometimes we were saying it's best to go from inner to outer, right? Actually, the outer and the environment can change the inner.
Both. I think it works both ways. In, out, and out, in.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So if really we want to go and then it doesn't work that way, then find ways, get feedback. I think that's the best way. Practice does not make perfect. I always tell people, Yeah, because we can practice always doing the wrong thing to make sure the wrong thing is perfect.
Actually, yes, exactly. Actually, practice makes permanence.
Yes.
The more you practice, whether good or bad, that will become permanent, and then the habit.
Precisely. So how to make it perfect is practice with feedback. Will make it better. It will never be perfect, but at least it will make it
Next
better.
level.
And I think the feedback that we get, right, is don't get it just from friends. Because I think sometimes our friends or even family have a particular perspective about us that may not serve us. Like if you want to be like what you say, change your external, you want to be somewhere here, to be seen as a, let's just use the analogy of fun person, then mix around with fun person or ask them, hey, when it's fun, how do you see this? And I think the feedback from that will pull you in the direction that you want to be. Right? Instead of just staying within your circle and what we are comfortable with.
Totally.
Yeah, wonderful. And Cindy, the question I have for you, right, is, sometimes in business, I'm firefighting. There's so much work to be done, right, Roger? I'm firefighting, and then must still do branding. How do I draw the balance between spending my time on branding and on really providing a service?
So again, I think this one really links back to what we stand for. And one of the things that I always tell my clients is, don't just think about what you stand for on the outside, but also think about your core values, right? So think about your core values, come up with your brand attributes, then ask yourself how you're going to communicate it. So while you're firefighting, you're having stress, you're also asking yourself, okay, I have this difficult conversation to have with the CEO of so and so. How am I going to bring in my core values into this situation? So let's say your core values is respect. How am I going to ensure that I bring some level of respect into this situation? So again, when we start to think about branding as a deeper thing rather than it's just something I portray, it will actually come out very naturally. Because when we think about core values, it's relationship with yourself. Do you show respect to yourself? For example, core value is respect. Do you show respect to other people? How are you demonstrating respect at work? So I think just balancing that and always having in mind, because very often we forget what our value is. So busy, right? What value are you talking about? No time to change diapers. So reminding yourself, hey, this is how I want to live my message. This is how I want to live my brand. Even as mothers or spouses, we're always asking ourselves, what am I bringing into this conversation with my husband or my child? As long as you sort of have that in mind and you practice it regularly, it will become a part of your life. And I truly believe that.
I love what you talk about values, and one exercise that I would encourage our viewers to do is to really spend some time, December, Christmas, not just reflecting but creating, and then write it on a piece of paper. And then stick it, whether it's on your toilet mirror, I mean, we have our home values on the wall, because really out of sight, out of mind. So I create, very often write New Year resolution. After write, I don't know put where. And then 1 year later, we do the same exercise. I may find it and then get so demoralized that I forgot about it. But sometimes we forgot, right? But sometimes it's using the environment, like outside in, right? Harnessing our environment to remind us, hey, I said I stand for love. But that act to my child or even to myself in terms of self-love was not loving. And it's not to chide ourselves, but to then, okay, let's remind myself, okay, love. Love is my message. Love is my connection. Love is my being. And I think very often when we put reminders around, whether it's in the car or, on the door, wherever we are, the more reminders, it becomes after a while who I am, synonymous with my value. And then I don't even have to think anymore. I am oozing that out. So,
Mothers has got branding, right?
Mothers got branding.
Why? You say, this is a tiger mom. That's a brand already, what?
Helicopter mom.
Helicopter mom. And that's another brand.
What's a helicopter mom? I've never heard about that.
A helicopter mom is one who hovers over you, watches and micromanages and tells you how your life should be, hovering, breathing down your neck.
Okay. I learned something new today.
So there are different mothers, like laissez-faire mom, So I always tell people, even as mothers, what kind of mothers do we want to brand ourselves? It is very important. Don't think, where got time? Every day we have to do this. But our children are the ones who are our customers. They observe us every day, 24/7. Whatever that we do, whatever that we say, how we react to certain things, it is a brand.
And that's so beautiful what you said, because when we can have that feedback or that consistency at home, because very often I believe in the privacy of my house, behind the four walls, that is where, to me, the battles are won and fought. You know, like ultimately, if at home I can convince my kids, or there is a congruence, outside now is a given already. But very often, I think the lack of congruence, right, is I put myself to be like that, then come home, and then like, then the kids are like, no, mom, on TV you say this, but you say you come back, then you and then there's such a disconnect.
Correct.
So I think really from what I'm hearing, right, congruence is really about mine. It's first about it's really about my soul, and then what I say, what comes out of my mouth, what my hands are doing, what my eyes see, and then how people view me. I think that would come true.
There's sort of like an alignment, you know.
Yes.
It's like a straight alignment. If you find that there's a misalignment, you might want to ask yourself, where is it that I am showing up incongruent to what I say my values are? Yeah. And one of the activities I always get my coaches to do is, so let's say again, you say that your value is love. Okay, I get them to actually write down, what do you see when you talk about love? So for example, I see myself speaking in a loving way to my child. What would you hear when you think about the word love? I'm going to hear myself using words of love, even when I'm correcting my child. Yeah, so I get them to define it, so it doesn't just become a word which is airy-fairy.
I love how you crystallize it. In then, how do the actions show up? You know, do I use words like "Hey, love, I love you," or is there laughter? You know, what's the sound I hear? What's the words I use? How do I feel in my heart? Or what's my entire body sensation? I think even creating this, it's such a powerful pre-exercise because first we conceptualize in our mind on the paper, and then we can create.
Absolutely.
So very good.
And you're living your brand. You're not just portraying something that is superficial. We don't want that, right? We want it to be inside out. And that's when I say, when you live your brand, you live your message. And that becomes very powerful. And when people see that you're powerful and living your brand, they get inspired by you and they go, okay, when I grow up, I want to be like my mom. You become like that.
And I think that's very powerful, because in today's world, the world is crying out for congruence. Because I mean, we read so many stories, right, where people say something and then they are caught doing something else, and then it becomes scandalous, right? And we are really crying out for heroes who dare to make mistakes, openly admit it, and then, you know, because that vulnerability that connects us to our humanity, that we are not perfect and we will never be. But are there brave enough people who dare to keep putting themselves out there over and over and over again?
That's really important, to admit the mistakes and to fine tune it. So many people, when it comes to in my organization, like, I'm always called the Wonder Woman. Not because I can do a lot of things. It's because they know the other side of me is I always wonder where my things are.
Okay, wonderful.
So it's very congruent. Even my daughter, you know, she's like that. And then my team member, I know, she cannot find her water bottle. And then the next day, where's my phone? So they will know this Wonder Woman is at play. I even left my AirPod at NTU, but I managed to find back.
I know
your airport.
Yeah, my AirPods.
Just last night. Hey, my phone. Again, Mom, you tell us to be responsible, and then but I'm going to tell that Mommy is the Wonder Woman, always leaving you all in the way. I think that's such a okay, so to bring this to a wrap, right? Okay, Roger, if we can start with you, what is one advice that you want to leave our audience with regards to branding, finding their unique signature?
Okay, maybe one advice I'll put it straight is definitely about creativity itself. So I always leave a quote that I always say is that you are not poor when you have no money in your pocket. You are poor when you have no idea in your mind. So it's important when I tell people about the whole branding itself. About branding yourself as a mother, branding yourself as a personality, branding yourself also, or in business itself, is always be creative and think through what you want yourself to represent as. It's very important. This branding is the whole thing about the whole look and feel, the whole consistency itself. Okay.
Thank you for redefining resourcefulness, right? Like, I may have no money in my pocket, but as long as I'm resourceful and creative and a lot of ideas, I will never I am rich, right?
Yes.
So thank you so much. Thank you, Roger. And Pauline, what's one advice you want to leave our audience with?
Do it. Just do it. This is a very powerful tagline, right? Everybody knows this tagline, So just do it would be, do not procrastinate if you really want to do branding and how to start. Because many of the people are always stuck with this. How do I start? And the advice would be, just do it. Start to do it with identifying your soul, maybe. Start to do it with identifying a color, also can. Start to do it with a language that you want. Start to do it with a word that you want to use. But most importantly, start right now.
Wonderful. So wherever you are, you've heard a lot of what we've said, whether it's Cindy's combination with what Roger, with what Cindy or Pauline and or whatever we have shared. Just use it, do it, you know, just start somewhere. Yeah. And then remember, plaster everywhere. Because sometimes
reminders.
Yes, because sometimes it's work in progress, right? I write something and then I can scratch it off. So it's really remind ourselves that it's really work in progress.
It is.
And Cindy, the advice that you want to
So for me, I think it's really about just kind of reminding ourselves that as 2022 is coming, it's really a new season, a new opportunity for us to redefine things. So make the time for yourself. Don't do this for anyone but yourself. Take the time to reflect about what you stand for. I feel very sad when I see people saying, I don't know what I am. It's very sad. And don't live your life blind, not knowing who you are and what you stand for. Start with that process. Own your authentic brand and show up to communicate your brand messages powerfully, because you're totally worth it.
Wow, I love that tagline. We are totally worth it, including you, Roger. And like what you say, right? I think our brand is not just who I am, but it talks about my mission in life. Absolutely. I mean, if at the end now we were to close this entire thing, who are you as a being? Who are you as a person? What's your contribution to this earth, right? Like take time, right? This Christmas season to give yourself this gift of time, of solitude, whether it's at the beach or whether it's a cafe, you know, having coffee, or whether it's with friends, right? Spend time digging through to discover what's my bigger purpose, right? And I think in that, right, will be the head and the heart alignment. With that, thank you so much. I trust it was an enjoyable session on branding, creating your signature. Stay tuned because our last panel session is about understanding our millennials. So a lot of parents say, hey, I don't understand why my kids their thought process are my different. And if you are an employer, you know, in the business, I don't understand how come these millennials are so strawberry. So that is what we will be covering very soon after our lovely Charlene gives away the prizes. Over to you, Charlene, and thank you. Bye.